And that is another reason why crying is so frustrating.
You
'Cause
must
it's like,
eliminate all enemy soldiers.
I mean, being vulnerable in and of itself isn't easy, but also everyone is just gonna think that I am fake crying.
Iman,
Doing this
are
and
you...
my brain is just zooming.
How far are you from perfect?
Very?
Do you want to be perfect?
I don't think that's possible.
Why do you strive for it?
Because does life make sense any other way than to try to be, I guess, your best self?
That's your problem, my friend. Yeah, because here's the crazy thing, okay? I'm gonna say something that may not make any fucking sense. You are
We have
perfect.
taken the lead.
What do you think about that?
I feel like that's the kind of thing like you say to someone and you're like, everyone's unique the way they are. Like you're perfect the way you are. I guess that's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because I don't think you understand that. But I want you to just think about this, and I do say shit like that. It's not because I'm trying to be positive. It's not positive. I'm not trying to prop you up. I'm trying to talk about what you are now, not what you could be. Like, the only thing that exists in this world is what is. Right? So, like, take a look at your tissue. Look at your tissue. Is it a good tissue?
Cafe hand.
Is it a good tissue or a bad tissue, or is it...
It's a good tissue.
But why? It's like got some gunk on it, right? It's like wet. It can't absorb what it should be able to absorb, right?
It did its job.
No, but it's not perfect, because if you cry more, or if someone else cries more, like, they can't use that tissue.
Yes.
So the question is, did you do your job? Like, you're not perfect, right? I'll accept that, but did you do your job? Did you do what you can do? Did you do the best that you could?
I feel like I don't know what that is. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way for me to say like what is enough.
Absolutely. And this is the thing you've got to understand. What is enough is exactly what you are. Right? So like when you look at the tissue, you say it's enough. It did what it was supposed to. I'm content with it. Is it completely dry? No. Can it hold its maximum amount of tears? No. But it's held what it's needed to for now. And I don't blame it for not being drier. And this is gonna sound fucking weird, okay? So if I lose you, let me know. If you want to pry more, let me know. I'm trying to be a little bit philosophical and help you understand this intellectually, because I think your mathematical mind is something we have to leverage. That's one of your strengths. And in the idea, like, if you think about an equation, like, an equation can only kind of be what it is, right? Actually, that's not true. That's a bad example.
So you could derive the equation and you could turn it into another equation.
Yeah, or I mean, we can't say 1 + 1 is 3, because that's wrong. That actually reinforces the idea of should and objective. So what I actually want you to be able to do is look at your life and say 1 + 1 is 3. That what you are, even though it's not enough. My Spotify randomly decided to
Doing
turn
well.
on.
We're in the lead.
Sorry about that.
Someone's missing.
So, anyway, I'm gonna bring you there, hopefully. But I just want you to think about this idea that, like, you know, the only thing that can exist is, like, what you are. Like, you can't be anything else. Like, I can't make you... So, like, some people, like, feel like they should be an inch taller. Right? And they're like, oh, I'm short. And it's like, yeah, man, I get that. Like, I get that you have good reasons for wanting to be taller, or even that you should be taller, or that being short sucks. But, like, you literally can't be any height but what you... Right? And it's not just height that is determined by, like, our karma and our biology. It's, like, circumstance. And you kind of feel like you should do certain things, and like, I just think that that's wrong. I don't think you should do anything. I think that you
We
are...
have overtaken the enemy.
And I know it's shit that I say, but I mean, really, it's not that you're perfect. It's that you are. Like, if I say, you know, the pen is here, And we can say that this pen is perfect because it's exactly where it is. It can't be anywhere else. Like it literally cannot be anywhere else. That existence is. It's not could be. Like the pen can't be anywhere else. Like it's here and like now it's here. Like it can't be back over here. It is here, right? The possibility of the pen being here is not a real thing because I move it over here, but like where's the pen? It should be here or shouldn't be. It's stupid. It's here. It's here. And in your mind, somewhere along the way, and I get that. I think it's brilliant that you've discovered that it's adaptive for you, that it helps you, it supports you. The strive for perfection is responsible for your success. And okay, really,
Sorry.
it's
Sorry.
it's fine. So I think what we've got to get to is like the bottom of like where you get this idea that you should be something. And my hypothesis, and we'll look for this, okay? So like oftentimes my hypotheses are wrong. So I'll say my first hypothesis is that somewhere along the way you felt like you were something. And you really knew what you were. And that someone important to you told you that you shouldn't be that. And then what happened is like you calibrated away from yourself and towards that thing. And then over time you calibrated towards should, and that's what you kind of like set your your zero towards. That became your true north. And then somewhere along the way, like you got left behind. As you became pokey, Iman got left behind.
I can see what you mean and where you're coming from. I think it's kind of hard for me to think of a moment where like I for sure like knew what I wanted to be. I've been thinking about it recently, and I do know that for quite some time I kind of tried to separate the two, but mainly in order to like protect myself, kind of. Like when people would theorize or say like try to twist a lot of stuff like publicly, I'd be like, oh, like all they see is like pokey, like they don't know me personally, and like that's kind of how I separated the two to kind of like make myself feel better. But the kind of theory that I came to recently is more so that not that like I know I knew what I wanted to be, but that I just haven't given myself time to like identity develop because I've spent these others.
Yeah, man. That makes perfect sense to me. Like that's like literally what I'm saying. Is that like so a long time ago, and I think you've been doing this way longer than you realize. Or I mean, I think you do realize it, like way longer than before. I mean, how long have you been streaming on Twitch?
Like 6 or 7 years.
And is it okay to ask people how old they are on Twitch, or is that not okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
How old are
and
you?
I also think about that. I'm 23, and it's like some of the most formative years of my life I've spent like working to the point of giving myself health issues and just stressing about like pleasing others and what others think, and not giving myself any time to just like live life and figure out who the fuck I want to be or am happy with.
Mm. Yeah, man, I think you got that shit figured out all on your own.
But I've only gotten that far, and I've only gotten that far from freaking crying for a week straight.
Good for you. So let's think about this, right? So what I'm hearing is also a subtle should. That I should have spent more time on identity development.
Yeah, that too. It's not like, oh, I can just like look at myself and be like, oh, this is just like how I've ended up, and
It's. I mean,
and I am this 10 that is like,
so
I don't know.
I feel.
now
I
I'm
feel
gonna
like.
do more, but
I feel like talking to Pokey and Iman. And I think the point here is that Pokey doesn't let Iman grow. And you're beating yourself up for being Pokey too much. But that in and of itself is Pokey talking. Right?
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't see it as like, I don't know. I don't like see it as an alter ego, or really, I don't know. It's really hard
not-
for me to tell because I
it's-
feel like the problem. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that problem solver part of me isn't necessarily like only part of like my work side.
It-
I don't know. It's
No.
really hard for me to separate like
Yeah,
that.
no. It's not part of your work only. Like, 'cause this is what I'm saying. Like, your tendency to gravitate towards should started way before you started streaming on Twitch. And I think you're spot on that, you know, I didn't realize how young you were. But I mean, if you started streaming on Twitch at the age of 16, you're damn right that like a lot of identity development is going to be kind of, you know, like stunted, to be blunt. Right? So like 16 to 23 is when you know, people go to college, and like I didn't know who the fuck I was until I was like 28. And
I'm glad I went to college for at least 2 years.
yeah, good.
So that was good, yeah.
And so like, you know, so I think it's okay to not know who you are. People think that 23 is adults, but like not really. I mean, people are like developmentally younger because I think the challenges that we face are like far more complex. What our psychology and brains are assaulted by on a daily basis growing up has changed. Like, it's not like we're living in the woods and like it's the same fucking shit every day. You know, it's like it's issues of identity and confusion and what the world is. Like, my grandmother did not know that other places existed. Like, it's a bizarre thing to think about, but like she like literally did not know that other locations were real things. Like, she grew up in her village and she had heard of places, but they were like Neverland or stories. Like, Bombay was like a place that people went, like it was a story. Like, she hadn't conceptualized that it was actually a geographical location where there are stairs and doorways and cars and people, and that the world was like a place. It was like a myth. But now the world has become a real place, and like, even compared to, you know, 20 years ago, the opinions that you had to deal with were like localized to the people that you met.
Mm-hmm.
But enter the internet, where now you can get judged by hundreds of thousands of people, or millions of people. And you used to deal with the judgment of the kids in school.
Yeah.
It's like the same 30 fucking kids. And now you have
so
millions of people who can
I
judge
learned
you.
so much about preteens and teens in this day and age,
Yeah, they're
and
fucked.
their mental health. Yeah.
They're really, it's bad, and it's gonna get worse. And anyway, but so this is the thing, Iman. I think even the way that you beat yourself up for not having developed your identity is another should. So we got to get to the bottom of the should, and you're absolutely right that should is adaptive. Okay, so oddly enough, I feel like I'm well equipped to help you because the people that I work with in my day job, I think, have very similar problems to you, which is that they've flagellated themselves into success. And they're like, they wake up one day and they're you know, you're apparently Twitch royalty. And then, you know, in their case, they're like managing director at like Goldman Sachs. Or they're like a physician at Harvard Medical School. And they wake up, huh? And they say the same thing. They're like, but I am all of these things. Like, why do I deserve, like, why am I crying? Like, I shouldn't be fucking crying. And then I tell them, like, well, maybe you should, like, stop flagellating yourself and stop trying to be better. And they're like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what
Yeah.
that looks like. That's
me, Smiley.
yeah, right? Like, I don't know what acceptance, and this is another one of those, you know, yoga calendar flower kind of things. Like, accept yourself, man.
I know.
No, but like, you literally, like, that's not like a thing on a yoga calendar. That's something that you literally, it's like the pen, right? Like, you can't be anything but what you are. It's like silly. Like, you literally, you can't be an inch taller. You can't be more developed. in terms of an identity perspective. You can't be any of those things because you are what you are. Your past is what it is. You know, if we're talking about engineering and mathematics, like if you build a structure in a particular way, that structure can either bear a weight or it can't bear a weight. Like you can't. What it should bear is actually completely irrelevant because either it's capable or it's incapable. It's a fact. But you don't view yourself as a fact. You view yourself as a fiction. You view yourself as a should. You're not a building. You're an architectural diagram. You're like a building who looks at an architectural diagram of like a different building and says, I should be that. But that's like, it's like literally like a building can't be anything but what it is.
But I also feel like I'm a building, but I am the architect of the building that is me, so I can change myself to ideally be what I would like to be. But I know that isn't really feasible in a lot of aspects, but in some of them,
No, but because it's a reasonable. Oh shit! So it's a reasonable thing to think because you've done that, right? You've been a building who says I want to be 1 story taller, and then you figured out how to like get people to build you another story, and then you said I want to be 1 story taller, and you figured out how to do that, and you figured out how to do that. So the funny thing is that you've actually given yourself evidence to believe that you can be something that you are not. And I still think this goes all the way back to like, I mean, so. I'm thinking about how to say this. Tell me about your indebtedness to your parents.
Can I also mention one other thing?
Sure.
When I think about, I guess all of the stuff we've talked about, namely, I guess, my lack of, like, giving myself a break over all this stuff, maybe one of the reasons I cry so much is, like, I feel like I'm mourning over that.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so weird. I don't really know how to explain it, but like,
It's pretty. Yeah, it's fine.
I feel really sad for myself.
Yes.
Damn it, they have the lead.
Absolutely.
Take it back.
Because, Iman, I'm telling you.
Myself at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
It's. That's a brilliant. This is what I'm telling you. Like, so I'm going to go back to this idea, right? So like, there was Iman when you were very young, and there was something that you knew you were. And I'm not talking about like you knew you were, you know, wanted to be an engineer. Like, and then like there was like something that someone told you like, hey, you should be something different. And then you went towards that thing. And then like a little voice inside you said like, hey, that's not who I am. And then this other voice said, no, but that's not who you should. Like you shouldn't be what you are. You should be. Right? And then you went further and further and further and further and further away from your place. And I think what you feel right now is pity. You feel pity towards yourself. You're